What's the what's the best way that you can live your life? I mean, think about the way we live today. I mean, we're more connected than ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should be more happy than ever, but studies seem to show the contrary. I mean, I look around and I see a bunch of unhappy people everywhere. It doesn't seem like people are happy with the current standards that we have. So, how do we go about life?
Personally, I have a grudge against the internet. I think that's had a huge effect on people's mental health because now there's a whole nother dimension to the world. But that's a little off topic. Camden, you want to hear a story?
Yeah.
This is the story of the fall of man. It's a religious text, actually. And this is a guy named Adam. He's the first man. God made him, put him on the earth, into this garden, the Garden of Eden. And it's an amazing place. It's perfect. You could live life forever, eternally. You're immortal. Pure hedonism. Not like dirty, but you know. And the second human is Eve, who's also put in the garden. So they're living life. And God says, hey, you can eat any fruit you want, except for that fruit on that one tree. It's forbidden. And I don't know what type of fruit it is. I don't know if it exists anymore. I hope it's not apples. I've eaten a lot of those. But they end up eating the fruit. I don't know after how long. It could have been like half an eternity. But they eat the forbidden fruit. And what happens is they become mortal. They fall down to earth, hence the fall of man. And they suddenly know right from wrong. They can do wrong. And now, after that, they end up having children and creating humanity, ultimately, and achieving more than they ever could in the Garden of Eden.
And this story is in Christianity, the roots of humanity, is it not?
Yeah.
So,
and this ties in very well with what we're trying to accomplish today. Trying to, this motivation for escaping the pandemic of comfort. Because if you imagine it, you have a garden. The garden is safe, and it's completely enclosed. And outside there's a storm. It's a dangerous storm. It's more damaging to stay and rot in the garden. I mean, I guess they were immortal, but it would be more damaging to rot in the garden than to go try and brave the storm and become something.
Become something.
Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of, I've heard this so many times. It's amazing how little encouragement you need to give young people for them to go and do something. Like, with the internet, I guess, people lose self-awareness because their mentality is completely different. But then you have the self-aware people who are like top 1% successful people in high school, we're saying. Because no one's self-aware. That's how it works. So we have most people are blind and in the Garden of Eden. That's where they are. I mean, me and you, we're trying to brave the storm. We've taken lots of
Risks.
lots of steps to self-discipline.
And, well, that's another thing. I was going to say risks. We had to step out of the comfort zone. That's a risk on its own. You got to take those almost all the time, every day, to grow.
Mm-hmm. That's the zone of proximal development too.
Yes.
You have to kind of try and step outside your competence zone to increase your competence zone.
So to grow, we really need to keep pushing our boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we grow as people. Back to the internet thing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The internet, if you find the right places on the internet, you can find ways to build discipline, actually.
Of course, you got to be self-aware to even look for that.
It's true. You need to find the right content. You need to find the right aspects of the internet. Most of it's flooded with what you're talking about. It's kind of garbage. Doesn't help you. Time waster. Comfort content. Comfort content, honestly. It drains energy from you when it seems like it's replenishing you. Do you ever get that feeling? Let's say hypothetical situation here. You come home and let's say you hop on some video games and you spend, let's say 2-3 hours on those video games. Those are 2 to 3 hours that you sunk into something that doesn't help you in the real world, but it's something that you spent that's meant to be a relaxing thing. But whenever you get off of a game, how do you feel after that? Like, what are the emotions that you're going to get from that video game afterwards?
I mean, most of the time, personally, there's a lot of fatigue in the prefrontal or the frontal cortex. Looking at screens just by itself does burn a lot of cortical glucose.
Right. Because of the
flashing lights.
There was something else that I was going to say, but yeah, that actually makes sense. But it's not a relaxing thing. And like, as you said, it drains your energy more than it gives back. I haven't personally played games in a long time. I've gotten off of them. I spent more time, trying to level up in the real world, essentially.
Yeah.
Trying to build myself up. But what I found is that I enjoy my time more away from these devices, than I do when I'm spending time in them.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. People look for an adventure in the virtual world, but that stops them from looking for adventures in the real world, which is what you actually need. You need an adventure, man.
I mean, you want to live life to your fullest. Stop being comfortable. If you're going to be comfortable, as we've already said, it's like a storm. Life's the storm. So you can sit in the cave. And you can be comfortable. But you're just going to rot. You're not going to go anywhere, and you're not going to do anything with your life. You're going to be stuck in the cave. So if you want to make it places in life, challenge the storm. Get through it. Become stronger people. That's what you need. It's not comfortable, and it's not supposed to be comfortable, but the results that come out of it will be 10 times better than whenever you do in the cave.
Yeah.
Ever.
Real freedom is having enough self-discipline to go out in the storm and expand your zone of competence. That's how you be free. You're not free if you're sitting in front of a screen in your basement eating off-brand Doritos.
You're just straight up like sitting there with the crusty Cheeto dust all over your freaking beard, your neck beard. You walk up, you got your belly fat hanging out.
Yeah, you don't want to be the Cheeto Man collector from Toy Story 2.
Oh.
That's not the ideal man.
But like, aside, as ridiculous as that just sounded, that's not even a far-fetched reality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who already live that life. And I can guarantee, no matter how much they try to hide it, they don't want it. I mean, who would? You can't do anything with yourself. You're unmotivated. What are you going to do? There's actually a good saying that comes to mind when I was thinking of this. And it's, give a man a full stomach and empty balls, literally empty balls, and watch his ambitions fade away. What does that mean? Think about it for a minute.
He's probably got a porn addiction.
Probably. I mean, that's why he'd have empty balls, but I mean, really, you've taken away his sex drive, something that gets a man out of bed in the morning to go and do stuff.
And his appetite.
It's full. It doesn't need anything. So because of that, he's comfortable. He seems like he has everything, yet he has nothing. His ambitions have been stripped away from him. So he doesn't have anything that he wants to achieve. And if you have nothing you want to achieve, then what the hell are you doing on this planet?
Go make something out of yourself. Like, people try and limit their dreams and limit their ambitions. Like, oh, I will never be that great. You have to be really smart to be that great. But the first step to becoming some kind of hero is being arrogant enough to believe that you can.
The fake it till you make it mentality almost.
Yeah, that's where confidence comes from. You have to build it up.
Okay. I got a good aspect to this. So I have a friend. I'm not gonna tell the identity of this friend. I want to keep him secret. He's a great guy, might I add. He's awesome. But he told me this thing. There was this one girl that he seemed like he was kind of interested in her. But he had a fixated mentality. His mentality was so fixated on I can't get her because she's so much higher quality than me. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get her. And so I was thinking this, and then I eventually told him. But if there's something that you want, whether it be in this situation with a partner, someone you're interested in, or anything else, that Lamborghini in the dealership, look at how beautiful, look at how sexy that looks. You want that. If you tell yourself you're never going to get it, it's impossible. You've already lost the battle. There's no way you're going to be able to get that Lamborghini if you already tell yourself you can't get it. But if you sit up a little bit, brush your shoulders off, get the dust off, and you go, you know what? I don't know how. I don't know when. But that Lamborghini is going to be mine one day. The moment that you do that, the odds automatically go up. It's no longer impossible. You have a chance. You're in the game. Do that. And if you start doing that, eventually you're going to start getting what you want. You got to be committed, obviously. If you give up, you be comfortable, you're not going to get it. So strive to not be comfortable, guys. Fight the comfort. It is your enemy. Comfort is the destroyer of humans, of man. Don't let it be the destroyer of your life.
Hopefully, you're now inspired.
I'm hoping so.
All right. So how did you start overcoming this pandemic of comfort? What was your first steps?
So honestly, my steps actually go pretty far back. When I was about 7th grade, I was a very comfortable person. I lived comfortably. I did not engage in almost anything physical. I played a lot of video games, I'll tell you that. So because of that, there wasn't much that I did. I started to get some of that like skinny fat body type, whatever. I'm like 13. Mm-hmm. So my parents see this and they're like, hey, we need to make a change. And oh my gosh, Mom, Dad, thank you so much for doing this for me. But they said, okay, Camden, you got to play a sport. I don't care what sport it is. It's your choice. Figure it out. Tell me what it is. We're going to sign you up for it. You got to get out of this house and do something with your life. And I was like, okay. So I searched for sports, physical activity. And I came across a sport called lacrosse. Very famous, well, not very famous, but it's a good sport established by the Native Americans in the U.S., but it's still around.
I think it's getting popular in Utah too, specifically.
Oh, yes. It's getting popular everywhere. It's really getting big.
Yeah, it's nice.
And I mean, you played it for a while. We played it together, actually.
Yeah.
A couple of years, like 2 years back, we played on the same team. How was that?
That was pretty fun.
It was so hot.
The
summer was boiling.
And we won 2 games in a row on the same day.
That one day. Oh my gosh, that was so great. But I got into that sport. I found it. I was interested. I decided to sign up. Did it. Stuck with it for a while. I got really good at it. And because of that, I played with more teams, got involved, and then I started doing weightlifting. And that changed my life completely. Not just weightlifting, lacrosse. Lacrosse was the start. But weightlifting, I'd say, was the pinnacle. It was the start of the pinnacle. What I'm trying to say here is that these things changed my life for the better. it introduced a new mindset, a new way of going about life that if I didn't have, I don't know where I'd be today, to be honest. Weightlifting gave me a good sense of discipline. It taught me more discipline than I've ever learned in my entire life in just a couple of years, period. Like, I've been doing it for almost 2 years, about 1.5 years right now. Mm-hmm. I've seen great results. It's made me happy. Like, I'm more mentally happy than I've ever been in my entire life. And physically healthy. So give me both. It's helped me stay disciplined. And let me tell you, discipline, with it comes freedom. And you know that, Thomas, right?
Mm-hmm. I actually pretty recently started the self-discipline, we'll say trend, for lack of better words. I cleaned my room, which was the first step. That was a big step.
Oh, that room, dude. You showed me the pictures. You could not see the floor.
The room was trashed. It was 3 years without cleaning. And it was like the catacombs trying to clean it. I found stuff from kindergarten. Weird smells are coming from everywhere.
Weird smells?
I mean, when the air hasn't moved in 3 years,
yeah,
it's probably going to start smelling kind of musty.
Yeah.
But that was really good. That was the first step. And I mean, cleaning in a room, it's almost like symbolic to cleaning your psyche. It's conquering the chaos. And that was the first step for me. After that, I started waking up the same time every day, which I think is a great first step. Really calibrates you. Working out is also amazing, like you said. Blood flow to the brain, it's very helpful, especially after 25, because I believe at 25 is when your cognitive ability peaks. So after 25, if you're not working out, your cognitive ability is going to decline. I don't know how fast, but it's going to decline.
It goes down rapidly, I mean. That's what really, like, it makes me sad. You get to that age in the rest of your life, you're going to maintain what you've achieved. That's why I'm glad that I'm doing weightlifting at such a young age that I'm at. I keep it up for really, my idea is forever. Like, here's my mentality with physical exercise. 3 to 4 years ago, I was not exercising in the slightest. And here I am. I do it 6 times a week. And really, it's workout or die for me. I would rather be dead than not be working out or doing physical exercise because I'm in such a happy state because of it. It's brought me so far up. It's workout or die, guys. It's be physically healthy or die. That's how it is for me.
Or a fate worse than death, because no one wants to be the Cheeto Man from Toy Story.
No. I mean, think about it. You are the chooser of your roads. There's the comfort and there's the discipline. The comfort, while obviously it's going to be comfortable, it's going to be full of suffering. Mm-hmm. You're going to have health problems. You're going to have a shorter lifespan. You are not going to live a happy life down this road. You're going to suffer.
And that's part of the self-discipline, because life is suffering, indisputable. But you might as well try and not suffer any more foolishly than you have to. Because if you don't work out, you could very well die from a number of things. Because, people were made to endure physical activity at a regular basis. But if you do work out, you're taking on a little bit of suffering to negate a big amount of suffering.
Yes, as you already said, life is suffering. You got to choose when you suffer. We're lucky enough to have that opportunity.
And how you suffer.
And how you suffer. Pick your poison, exactly. You can choose to suffer a little bit now. And then in the future, you'll suffer less. Mm-hmm. Or you can choose the comfort now. And in the future, you will suffer more. Make your decision, guys.
And people are a lot more strong when they suffer voluntarily rather than let their suffering catch up to them and kill them. I've seen that happen way too many times.
Like what?
Well, about half the people who I know who are over 40 don't work out. They still have a job, so they're not retired. I don't know if they like their job, but they've been in it for a long time, so I doubt it. And they end up developing health problems. Like my grandpa, he's got... I don't think he's working out. He's in pretty good shape, all things considered. But He's replaced his knee. I don't know, it's all of these other prosthetics that I can't keep track of. It's not too many. You can't tell by looking at him, but he has got health problems. Not necessarily big ones,
But they're there.
but they're there.
present.
And he was actually a really healthy teenager, I think. He was more healthy than me. He could run 2 miles faster than I could, and I was in cross country. So
So he was insane.
He was-
he was a runner. He was a
was-
track star.
he was so insane.
Yeah.
He wasn't even in track. He just was able to do that. But yeah, so that's another part. You want to live your life in a way that you're not in despair after you pass age 60. Because once you get to the point where you want to retire after all of pretty much your entire life, you're going to get to a kind of grace period where you've accomplished everything you want to accomplish, hopefully. And you got your hobbies, and you're really just reflecting on life. That's what you live for. That's the end game. That's what you're trying to improve with the rest of your life. You want to look back and say, I lived the best life that I can live. And that will almost never happen because people don't wake up early enough. But you can still improve now, and it's going to end up exponentially better than it would if you hadn't started now.
Well, I like that a lot, but there's one part of it that I've been thinking about. Well, that came to mind when you mentioned that. You said that towards the end of your life, you want to have achieved everything that you wanted to achieve, right? And that's a good thing, because obviously you want to achieve everything in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But what about if you had almost near impossible goals for yourself? Some of them, maybe you didn't achieve. And you lived life more healthy and happy because of it. Like, here's what I mean. Let's say you want to build a lot of muscle. And you keep getting to that point and you keep building up for your whole life. But let's say that your goal was to just keep getting bigger, and then eventually got to a point where you did it for your whole life. Like, let's say you're 70 and you're still working out. Let's say you're 80, 90 and you're still hitting the gym. And then eventually you die. You had the goal in mind to keep getting bigger for your whole life. And obviously you didn't get to the biggest point, like a massive point. But you kept going. You did it for your whole life. You pushed all the way to the end. So maybe you weren't as big as you wish you could have been, but you were hella freaking big, man. You were strong. I mean, even at 80, 90, you're still hitting that gym.
A wise man once said, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
Yeah. And that really relates to it. But, with all that said, this has been Intuitive Deep Dive. I'm Camden.
I'm Thomas.
And remember,
There's always another perspective.